And what's the significance of the HRV? Is it just the fact that it's, in Hawaii? Or yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, there are differences in the method. The base method for all remote viewing out there at the moment is essentially CRV. But people, when it moved into the public domain and hit the streets, people started adding their own things to it and adapting it and mutating it. And all these different acronyms are the different schools with their own versions of remote viewing, and each one has its own peculiarities.
Well, having lived in Hawaii for 13 years, I...
Didn't you go to school there for a little bit?
Well, actually, a lot of it. I graduated and went.
I heard that rumor.
Did my master's program there, and then got hired on with the government there, and just actually got transferred back to Hawaii after I left the first time. So yeah, I spent 2 weeks shy of 13 years there. So I know a little bit. I know a little bit about pineapples and sugar cane. I can tell you that,
but not as much about the Hawaiian remote viewing as we're learning.
No, I actually. Well, the funny thing that you brought that up, the first thing that came to my mind, Daz, was I don't know if everyone knows this, but the military had for years and years, and it's still there because I actually was able to step foot on the pad leading into Diamond Head. There's a military base located underneath Diamond Head. And it's more of a communications facility, and this is just stuff that I heard through the back door because no one really would tell you what it is. But a lot of people don't know that. I mean, most of the Hawaiians do, obviously, but and I don't remember when they put that in there. But were you aware of that, Daz?
No, I'm not aware of that one. I'm aware of obviously the other famous ones around the world, the ones that allegedly have. Aliens and UFOs, that kind of thing in.
Speaking of aliens, we'll have to come back and see if we can see if remote viewing identifies, what city that all the aliens are living in. My guess would be somewhere in South Carolina, but that's just my personal opinion.
You're probably right about that.
There you go. Well, anyway, we're going to take a couple minutes break, and we'll come back and get down to where all those aliens are if we can, Daz. So we'll see you in a little bit.
Hi, this is Judy Collins from Judy's House of Oldies, and you're listening to Hear Women Talk Radio on the Zeus Radio Network.
When you're in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, home of Zeus Broadcast Network and Hear Women Talk, there's a wonderful adventure that you should try. Carolina Safari Jeep Tours.
Go to www.carolinasafari.com and check out Carolina Safari. Mention Hear Women Talk and get a discount from Carolina Safari Jeep Tours.
See another side of Myrtle Beach. Get wild with wildlife. Explore history, nature, and mystery on a Carolina Safari Jeep Tour.
Tonight, take an adventure on the Myrtle Beach Ghost Walk. Explore the haunted swamps where alligators and the ghosts from long ago still reside. Stroll across floating walkways beneath the Spanish moss as your pirate guide leads you by lantern and shares 13 spooky tales along the way. The Ghost Walk departs nightly at dusk, only at Barefoot Landing in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Call 843-361-2700 or visit myrtlebeachghostwalk.com for advance tickets. The Myrtle Beach Ghost Walk.
Hi, I'm Annette Martin. My show, Annette Martin's Psychic World, is all about you. Call or use chat to talk with my intriguing guests or ask me an on-air psychic question. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, we will have an expert with words of wisdom to assist you with your life. So sit back, relax, and listen to Annette Martin's Psychic World on HearWomenTalk.com.
Hi, this is Kay Van Hoosen, founder of Hear Women Talk. Every Monday, you can return to love with Jen Ward in Genuine Healing. Jen is an empath, a healer, and an intuitive, and Jen will show you how to remove blockages, heal yourself, and feel love. That's Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Hear Women Talk.
Hi, this is Michelle with La Bellamy Vineyard. You're listening to Hear Women Talk Radio and the Zeus Radio Network.
psychics. Find me.
Hi, this is Kelly Snyder with Valerie Graham, and our guest today is Daz Smith. We're coming back for the final segment. When we left, we were talking a little bit, Daz, about the aliens that are out there, and I joke they're all in South Carolina, but that's not in fact true. We do know that there's at least 100,000 of them living in Washington, D.C., but we just don't have time to name them all at this point. But one of the things I did want to do is go back. We were talking about some of the things that, through your training and all of the time that you've spent doing this remote viewing, controlled remote viewing, that is, you've developed a website. And I was on there today just to get a little bit of a heads up on all of the things that are in there, and it's quite impressive, not to mention the fact that that's what you do part-time and full-time on the side, is develop websites. But very impressive. If you would explain a little bit about what your website's all about, number one, and number two, what's in there for people to get involved in remote viewing if that's something they're interested in.
Yeah, and thanks, Kelly. Yeah, the website's called remoteview.com. And it's been up now for about 6 years, and essentially I try to provide as much information as I can for free for people. So on the website it's got an extensive history of remote viewing going right back to 1972, and included in that I do have a few hundred of the CIA documents on there, so people can actually go there.
That. Yes, some have asked about it already, so that's great.
Yep, they can go on there and they can see some of the top documents that came out, some of the top science labs, and essentially it's work that they paid for with their tax dollars, and you can actually see the results of some of these experiments. Not only that, on the website as well, under a page called Manuals, I also have documents of all the different methodologies that are available out there. So all their training manuals, I have there on the one website that people can download and they can look at their leisure. It's hard to learn remote viewing from a manual, but at least it gives you a starting point. Well,
and it might, if nothing else, at least give you some clue whether or not you're interested in it enough to pursue it. And that to me is critical, because a lot of times people are interested in things and there's no venue for them to go to try to find out more about a topic. So yes. That's why I wanted you to mention your website. What else is on there, for the person that's interested in remote viewing?
Yep, you have a blog. Don't you have a blog too?
I do have a blog as well, called Cosmic Spoon. And that's where I, just essentially put up my thoughts and feelings about remote viewing. I also, on a regular basis as well, when I take part in public experiments, I'd put all the experiments online for people to download and have a look, because it's good to get other people's point of view on whether they think I'm accurate or not.
Well, not to mention, speaking of accuracy, what about that prediction you made for me last year? Actually, it was part of a project about the earthquake. Explain that, because that, in fact, came true. I think you were off a day or two, so obviously you had to tweak the fact that the earthquake, the exact location, was like a day off or something. So I guess shame good. On you for being a day off, right?
No,
so tell us about that one.
Yeah, well, we were actually on the day, but what we were off on, or what the analyst was off on, was the intensity. He looked at our remote viewing data at the time and thought that it was going to be a full cataclysmic event that was going to wipe out the LAX airport.
Right.
So that's what he put out. He put out the date that it was going to happen, and the airport was going to be collapsed.
So it did happen on that date, however.
It happened on the exact date that he put out, but not to the intensity of everything being damaged. Right. Hardly any damage went on, but we essentially did accidentally predict that earthquake to the day. Well,
and the significance of that to me is you have the the inevitable skeptic out there saying, well, wait a minute, an earthquake in California, I can predict that. And it wasn't the significance that there was going to be an earthquake in California. Like I said, I can predict an earthquake in California, I just can't tell you where. You guys said where, you guys said when, and it happened exactly. The only thing off was the magnitude. But again, just one more nail in the coffin that this stuff, the psychic phenomena, remote viewing, astrology, the forensic astrology, all of these things are accurate to some degree. And by the way, we're in the process of trying to, scientifically get better at what we do, and we have some projects going on currently to do that. But back to your website again. It's www.remoteview.com. So anyone out there that's interested in remote viewing, at least go and see Daz's website so you can get a clue as to what's in there. And contact Daz.
Also, what about your new magazine, relatively new, and why is it called 8 Martinis?
Okay, 8 Martinis. It's a remote viewing magazine that people can download for free, and it has all the latest information and articles from the top people in the field of remote viewing. 8 Martinis, the name, it comes from the creator of remote viewing, Ingo Swann, and essentially what happened was it's an intelligence community in-house term for remote viewing data that was so good that it scared them so much that they had to go out and drink 8 martinis to recover.
Well, 8, of course, is EIGHT, martinis.com, not the number 8. And one quick question, because I know we have many other things. Predicting the future is difficult with remote viewing, and people ask if someone can remote view, can they pick up something in the future and pinpoint it? And would it change? Why does it change? That seems to be a catch-22 of what you discussed earlier, where the power of the mind can change things, even with what you have seen and predicted.
Yes, things do change within the future, and predicting the future or looking at the future of remote viewing is less accurate than looking at the past. But saying that, in my own projects and working with others, we do get between a 50 and 80% accuracy at looking at the future stuff. And I've done many future experiments. Like on my website alone, on the results section, there are lots of my predictive targets on there where I've predicted the winning outcome of sports games, of events that are on TV, like game shows and reality shows. It's very easy to do, and remote viewing can do it. And if they go on my website, they can actually see the winning betting slips and everything, where I've actually made money by doing this.
So it does work, at least sometimes, in that way.
It works sometimes, not all the time. The one thing I must say about remote viewing is good, and the more you do it, the better you get, but it's not 100% accurate. I'm currently running myself at around about 75 to 83% accurate, 80% of the time. So if I give you 100 words and say there's 100 words about the target, you'll know that about 70 or 80 of those will be correct.
And do you have a consensus when you have remote viewers like that? There are several of them looking at the same thing. Do you try and get a consensus?